Hey guys, Dislin Magic here, and it's time to go over what we know so far about Amonkhet because a whole bunch of information was released today. The first thing I've got to cover is this wonderful token card which has perforations on it. Now this is one of the things that Wizards does once in a while that's just plain smart. So they're bringing back something called -1/-1 counters. They obviously lower the power and toughness of a creature by 1. And if you place a -1/-1 counter on a creature and then a +1/+1 counter, they destroy each other and they are left with 0 counters. So a couple cards right now that are legal say if a card has counters on it. Well, if you had a +1/+1 on it, then you had a -1/-1 placed on it, you now have nothing on it. It's not 2 offsetting ones. They actually are removed. Now, a lot of hobby stores will sell -1/-1 dice, but they're kind of expensive. They usually don't have a whole lot of them, and if everybody rushes out to buy them when Amonkhet gets released, they will be out of stock. So luckily we've got, oh yes, -1/-1 counters that you can just punch out. And, they look okay. They're going to be, somewhere between 80 and 130 pound paper, usually. So what a lot of people would do is they've had like white dice for +1/+1 counters and then like red dice for -1/-1s, even though they don't say that. And then usually you're targeting your opponent's creatures with -1 counters. And did your opponent know to bring different colored dice? And have they memorized it in their head? Okay, red means negative. No. So this is clear as day, -1/-1. And if there's multiples, you could just stack them on the creature. I mean, this is like how every board game ever works. Also, everybody's like, oh, brick counters. What's that? What's a brick? Why is there a brick? I'm scared. Hold me. Calm down. Hey, remember Scroll the Masters from, I want to say, Fate Reforged? I think it used lower counters. Actually, there was a Modern Masters 2 card that used lower counters. Surakar Spellblade, it uses charge counters. It's just what they named them. It's just to say it's a counter, but it's not a +1/+1 counter, so we named it something else. So this time around, there's, oh yes, literally brick counters. So to remember which ones are real counters, which ones are -1/-1 counters, and which ones are +1/+1 counters, ta-da, you've got actual little pictures of bricks. I think everybody knows they're either going to use gummy bears or Legos. I mean, come on. But these are nice and handy dandy right in the backs of some of the packs. I don't think all of the packs, but I think some of the packs. I think they said it'll be in the place of a token or something. Oh, and as for the hieroglyphics on the bottom that tell you how to rip them apart, I'm pretty sure we've all seen perforated paper before. I didn't really need instructions for that, thanks Wizards. So now the 3 on the top there, well, it's 2 really, is embalmed and exerted, and then embalmed again. You don't really need the embalmed one because, well, when I get to the embalmed section, I'll tell you why, but you don't need it. I don't even know why they printed it. Exerted you do need, though. It is so nice to not have to just remember, like with my Gravity Bomb deck, I'd love to know, persistent tap or skip the next untap, like put a little, sticky note on the card that says skip the next untap step. And then once they've skipped it, they remove it. And then the next untap step, it's not there and they know to untap it. That would have been nice. This time around, it's almost the exact same mechanic as what I just said, except it's called exerted. It just means it doesn't untap, and then as soon as you skip one untap, you get rid of it. It is so nice to just have a pre-made, pre-done label. It's not handwritten, doesn't look like crap. You don't have to go find some scrap paper. You just use this. So I'm all for this. I think it's fantastic. Now, it is kind of one more thing to carry. It's hard to keep these in pristine condition. I don't know, you can't really put them in a binder. You can maybe just stuff like a 130 point top loader with these or something, or I don't know, if you put them in a bag, they'll bend. So a lot of problems with the actual survivability of these, but I think overall it was a great solution. Next up, they brought back cycling. In the block that it was originally in, it was just nice. It kept you from getting, a really crap opening hand. You could actually do something about it. In Modern, it was a bunch of broken, cheating crap, so it wasn't quite on par with Cascade, but it was not used for its original intended use. So get ready for some really broken Modern decks. They might actually have to ban something, potentially. So Archfiend of Ifnir is one of the examples. You pay 2, I guess, and discard this card, draw a card. So it's like, oh, this is in my opening hand. Great, I don't want it right now, but you keep it. You don't mulligan, you just keep this, and then you pay 2 and ditch this card and pull hopefully something better. It's just a really weak, subtle option to make sure that your game doesn't stall out. And nobody likes playing Magic when your deck completely stalls out and does nothing, and you're just like top decking lands and like 5, 6, 7 cost cards that you don't need. And everybody hates mulliganing. So cycling is a wonderful thing. It's just you can artificially put things into the graveyard, and as soon as you can do that, it's broken in Modern. Not nearly as broken as some other mechanics, I have to add that, but it's very exploitable, so watch out for that. Realistically, I'd give it maybe less than a 50% chance of actually causing a problem, but just being able to arbitrarily throw 5-cost demons into the graveyard is usually kind of bad. Now, the other thing is, sometimes there's an effect, so whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control. So that would only take effect if he's actually summoned onto the battlefield. So then you can take useless cards that have cycling, cycle them, and hopefully pull a better card, and then sometimes get an effect or a couple triggers because you cycled. So in other words, you can take a crappy card that you didn't want to top deck and that you don't need, and make it kind of do something. That's not bad. I mean, it's all just stuff to keep the game going, and that's good game design. It ain't all a gem, though, because let's look at Oracle's Vault. Here's where the brick counters come in, and they're, like I said, lower counters, charge counters, brick counters, doesn't matter what they call it. This time, I guess you're building a monument, it's a brick, whatever. So they got Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man working on a little Sphinx statue, which honestly, to me, looks like it's already done, so I'm not sure what this artwork was going for, but whatever. So you pay 4 to get him out in the first place. He's an artifact and he does nothing, so okay. But then you pay 2, tap it, exile the top card of your library until the end of turn. You may play that card. So in other words, draw the card, but you only have one turn to cast it and then it goes to exile. That's the way I like to think of it. Then you put a brick counter on Oracle's Vault. Now here's the problem. Tap it, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Whenever you see the phrase, without paying its mana cost, it's broken garbage that nobody wants to play. Oh, pardon me, play against. You know, kind of like the card that was almost banned and should have been in Aether Revolt. Aetherworks Marvel. Actually, that was from Kaladesh, wasn't it? I don't remember. I don't care. It should have been banned. Free casting is broken. It violates how Magic works at a basic level. It's broken garbage. Yes, you would have to spend 4 mana and then have this on the field without getting it blown up for 3 turns, and that's unrealistic, but hey, guess what? Aetherworks Marvel decks work. For some reason, with the high volume of artifact destruction, nobody seems to be running it, especially main board, because it's way the hell too specific. So obviously it says this card, you can only activate this ability if there are 3 more brick counters on Oracle's Vault. You don't have to remove the brick counters though, so in Modern, I'm sure this will be just exploited as hell. Free casting artifacts or discounting them, that's easy as hell. Manipulating the number of counters and multiplying them artificially, that's easy as hell. And then, artificially stacking your deck, well, guess what other card is banned? Sensei's Divining Top, and that's all that does. It's kind of like an automatic super anticipate per turn, so it's not really like stacking your deck, but there are all kinds of cards. Tygam Scheming and Contingency Plan, boom, there you go. Those will place a card on top of your deck that you want there. Serum Visions as well. So you could just put Emrakul on top, free cast it, boom. And you could probably do it on a very, very, very early turn, although a lot of things have to go right. Who cares? Modern's broken anyway. If they build another broken deck, whatever, just add it to the list. I could care less what happens to Modern at this point. And every time they print anything in Standard, they risk breaking it. So next up, let's look at Embalm on the True Heart Duelist. Oh boy, this is the, Game Day promo or something like that, I believe. Yeah. So it's a 2/2 human warrior. Oh boy, warriors are back. True Heart Duelist can block an additional creature each combat. God, I hope white humans don't come back. And then it has Embalm 3. So Embalm 3 is an activated ability that you can use only while this is in the graveyard. What it does is it exiles this card from your graveyard and then brings back a token that's the embalmed version of it. So you'd have to look at the token to find out what it does. So for example, this is the True Heart Duelist token. So it's always going to be white, which I thought that was a little weird, and it's always going to be a zombie. Also, it's not considered casting a creature spell. It's not even considered casting a spell at all. It's using an activated ability. So it's a little bit different than Flashback. I guess you could kind of equate it to like Whip of Erebos. You're bringing back a creature, but you're not doing it as a summoning. You're doing it as an ability. So this is basically the same exact creature. I mean, it's still a warrior, it's still a human. They just added zombie, and it always was white, and it's still a 2/2. So kind of neat. I mean, stuff that you have to kill twice is horribly annoying, but on the flip side, it kind of evens things out, so that control removal can't just run the whole game like it does right now. If enough things you have to kill twice, yeah, I think it'll be good. But it's looking like, if you read between the lines, this is only going to be white's ability. It would be really, really weird if it wasn't also in black, but they said in the actual description, 100% of embalmed creatures will be considered white, which is really weird because they have like a white tint to them on the token, but they don't actually have the white color identifying little orb to the left of the word token. I thought that was kind of weird because the embalm ability on the card also doesn't say create a white embalm token True Heart Duelist. So I guess we'll just have to know that it's white. Very, very, very strange that they didn't put a color identifier on it. Next up, let's look at the other new mechanic. It's Exert, and I have a feeling that there's 3 more mechanics for the other 3 colors, but I can't really confirm that yet. Let's look at Glorybringer. Once again, an overcosted, underpowered red flying dragon that nobody will use, although this one's not too bad. So, flying haste 4/4 for 5. Okay, I mean, that's not that bad. 5 cost is a little strong though, especially double red, but that just indicates they think it's going to be really powerful, so they wanted to limit it in 2 and 3 color decks to being harder to cast. So you may exert Glorybringer as it attacks, which that's always when you determine if you're going to use exert or not. If the creature has it, is right exactly when you declare it as an attacker. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. Kind of makes me think that there's going to be a lot of dragons in this set, because the fact that they had to mention non-dragon, yeah, and they also felt the need to limit its power to that. So I think flyers are going to be huge, and almost everything in Aether Revolt and Kaladesh right now is super weak against flyers. So how about that? I mean, I noticed a distinct lack of creatures with reach and extremely good, well-used creatures with flying, except for like Gisela. Oh, and of course, Aerial Responder. He's pretty hardcore too. So exert is really simple. You declare Glorybringer as an attacker, and then you decide, am I going to exert it or not? If the answer is yes, you do whatever it says, deal 4 damage to non-dragon creature an opponent controls. And if you say no, then okay, you just attack like normal. So if you did say yes and use the little secondary ability boost thing, whatever, then he doesn't untap during your next untap step. So to remember that, and so that you don't get accused of cheating, you would put exerted on it, the little token from the punch card. So that's kind of cool. The problem is I already knew how this was ruined. I just needed them to confirm that it does work this way. As they themselves put it, and I quote, if the creature you exerted is untapped, nothing happens, and the exertion cost you nothing. Maybe you found a different way to untap it, or maybe you gave it vigilance. You are clever! ! Oh, thanks, you gave me all the warm fuzzies, random person from Wizards. I love you too. So in other words, Always Watching is going to be a $5 card again. Pretty damn obvious. It does look to me like this is a red ability only, because they have 5 gods, 5 techniques. It looked like 5 mechanics. So I think white is whatever the hell I said the other one was called, embalm, whatever. Or, red will have exert. So you'd have to go specifically red-white to make use of the vigilance. If it's good enough, and if there's enough flyers and dragons and that kind of crap, well, plus angels and stuff, hey, there you go. But usually it's like, when a new thing comes out, oh, exert. Nobody builds an all exert deck. I mean, nobody built like an all heroic deck. If they did, it didn't work. But people used heroic. I mean, people used Fabled Hero. They used Phalanx Leader back in the day. So it's probably not going to happen. But just in case, I wouldn't go trading away your Always Watchings, because that's +1/+1 to all non-token creatures, and they all gain vigilance. Need I remind you, there is almost no commonly used enchantment destruction right now. Next up, some of the cards that they said will be from Amonkhet, but most of them are reprints, but you'll be seeing them in the Amonkhet welcome decks, which are, 5 versions, 1 for each color. They're 30 cards, and they are just the worst damn thing I've ever played with. Seriously, I've played with them before. They are terrible. It's get out your bomb card first and win. That's just all it is. The rest of the cards are not very powerful. Very good for learning the game, though. Extremely good. So they do what they do. First up, Impeccable Timing, which I could have sworn was just printed. 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Absolutely useless garbage card because Immolating Glare is still legal. Plus, I think Gideon's Reproach is just better. That might cost 3, I don't remember. There's like 8 better versions of this. Blessed Alliance, I think that'll destroy an attacking or blocking creature. It's just a garbage card. Then we got Giant Spider, 2/4 with reach for 4. Really overpriced, underpowered, pretty useless. Can't even stop anything in the air unless it's exactly 3 attack or less. Mighty Leap, that's a big one. +2/+2 in flying. They've printed that a billion times. Ancient Crab, classic card. New artwork too. That's a 1/5 for 3. Just straight up, sit there and block everybody. I could have sworn that was in the last welcome deck. Not 100% sure though. Then we got Cursed Minotaur. Really cool artwork there. Just a 3/2 with Menace for 3. Very, very good for black, actually. I mean, that's more of like a red or green thing. Then we got Dune Beetle. That's a 1/4 for 2. Straight up, nothing special. It's an insect. Oh boy, insect tribal. Woo. Then we've got Fling. Not happy to see this card because it is so likely to be broken. So, as an additional cost to cast Fling, sacrifice a creature. Fling deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target creature or player. And that's where they went wrong, because you could swing with a Void Winnower, deal 9 damage, and then fling it for 2. And oops. Oh, look, there's 9 more damage after hitting them. This is such a second main phase card. You could also chump block with something, like a 4/1 or something. And then, okay, the creature is blocked, and now also fling it. Boom, and then you hit him in the face. Fling is game ending, and it's printed as a common. I hate the card. I really wish they wouldn't have printed it. That's a real shame. Next up, Hyena Pack. It's just a 3/4 for 4. Real exciting cards that they put in the welcome pack here. Spidery Grasp. Untap target creature. It gets +2/+4 and gains reach until end of turn. That was printed recently, but I want to say dragons, so I don't think it's legal right now, but it's about to be. Otherwise, it is legal right now, and it was in a really old set like BFZ. Not quite sure. Next up, there's Angler Drake, a 4/4 for 6 blue creature, so I already assume it's crap. Let's see. Flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. Yeah, pretty crappy creature. Next up, this one's pretty cool artwork. Sixth Sense, good movie. Enchant creature for 1. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. This is a better version of Rogue's Gloves. This is a better version of the better version of Rogue's Gloves, which I forgot what even that is. This is insane, and this is so not a green effect. I think it's gonna screw with some stuff. Passive repetitive draw triggers are insane. I mean, Bident of Thassa was insane. Military Intel was insane. Even Asperia, her ability was insane. Every time a creature swings at you per creature, you draw a card. Well, guess what? Celestial Flare. It actually happens in that order. So, yeah, this is going to be a very underrated card. People are going to not know to use it when really they should use it. Now, unlike Rogue's Gloves, you can't move it around. Once the creature dies, it dies. So it makes your creature a complete and utter lightning rod. But that's fine if it's a 1/1 flyer that costs nothing. Okay, not literally nothing, but you get what I mean. That's not worth wasting a red removal spell on. And then you bring out your actually dangerous stuff, and whoopsies, they already ruined it. Next up, we've got Gravedigger. It's a 2/2 for 4 zombie. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Not worth it. You still have to pay the mana cost. Abilities like this have never been popular. It's just dumb. Well, welcome to the welcome deck. Next up, we got 2 cards that are both in the welcome decks and the Planeswalker decks. We've got Graceful Cat. I love, low-cost white cats because, trained Caracal, or however the hell you say it. It was a 1/1 lifelink cat. Cost 1 white to get out. I loved it. It was in my first deck ever. So this one is pretty nice. Whenever Graceful Cat attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's the 3/3 that it should have been considering its mana cost, indicating it's complete crap. That's a shame. Anyway, Tattered Mummy. This is a 1/2 for 2. When it dies, each opponent loses 2 life. I mean, considering it only has 1 attack power, there you go. Could you artificially sacrifice it? Yes. Could it already fit in one of my decks that has death triggers? Absolutely. Pair this with Zulaport, you got some stuff. I mean, Grim Haruspex in Modern, hello. There is a better card than this in Modern. It's in my Black Death deck. So pretty uninteresting cards there, but that's the welcome deck. They really don't put anything powerful in it whatsoever. Good news. One of my favorites, Sphinx of Magosi, is going to be returning to be the head rare in the Amonkhet Blue Welcome deck. So look for that. It's good enough to be in standard. So that's always good. Black is still Nightmare. Red is still Shivan. Honestly, I don't think they changed a whole lot. So that's about all we know about Amonkhet so far, except for earlier leaks that showed some of the planeswalkers, their abilities, that kind of stuff. So look back on my channel if you're that interested. It was just the planeswalker deck versions, not that exciting. The good news is every single thing we've seen so far, and there's a little asterisk to this that I'll get to in a second. Every single thing is monocolored. I was really hoping that they would return to monocolored, but I haven't seen anything that resembles devotion, where you're actually motivated to stick to just one color, because that would limit the power of decks, limit options, limit flexibility, and that's what they need, because flexibility is the number one thing killing standard right now. You can do too much. You can draw cards while having control, while having giant creatures. That's the side effect of letting people get away with 3 or 4 colors and have no negative side effects. I mean, people just don't get color screwed. The color fixing is too good right now. If they would have fixed just that, half the broken cards would not be broken. I mean, Glimmer and Anticipate, no problem. Oh, you're playing just blue, who cares? Good luck. You wouldn't have, Fatal Push in your deck then. So hopefully they start pushing some single-colored, devotion-style mechanic. Haven't seen it yet. I have a feeling people are going to take this extremely monocolored set and make a bunch of 2-3 color crap with it. So that's a shame. Now, I did say there was a little asterisk. In most sets that have what they call gold cards, which are mixed color cards, they're almost all the same rarity, and we've seen very, very, very few uncommons so far. So they're almost always stuck into the uncommon slot. I don't know why. I mean, maybe just to get them out of the way for draft, because they're less likely to be useful in a draft. If it was in the common slot, you'd just be drawing dead cards over and over and over. I don't know. Whatever it is, we've seen almost no uncommons get spoiled so far, so it is still possible that there will be mixed color cards. So that would suck. What do you think about all these wonderful things? Do you like the punch card as much as I do, or will you use it, or will you continue to just remember things and then just kidding, you'll forget and lose the game because of it? Leave all kinds of comments about all this craziness down in the comments section, and the number one question I gotta ask, will anything from Amonkhet stand a chance in hell against the decks that are popular right now? I'd give it about a 95% chance that no, they won't. They don't stand a chance in hell against the speed and the control level of the top 2 decks. Everything I've seen so far is just pathetically weak. The mechanics have nothing that will stop anything that's popular right now. Looks like it's going to be a dead set that sells like crap. It's going to be a Journey into Nyx 2.0, and that's what I was afraid of. When you run the power up through the roof and then refuse to ban anything, you got to reset the power level at a certain point, or you're just going to power creep yourself to the point where there's a 1 cost 4/4 a couple years from now. So that's a real shame. I'm considering slashing my order. It's already really conservative, but I think as soon as I see the first couple spoilers, I might try to lower my order with my vendor, because I don't want any risk or exposure to this set that's coming out right after one of the most powerful sets ever printed. It is very, very, very much in danger of being worthless. And yeah, so I wouldn't exactly pre-order a box. So with that happy news, I'll see you guys next video.